It happens in a split second, the moment the floor drops out from under your life. Maybe it was a text message you weren't supposed to see lighting up a phone screen at midnight. Maybe it was a credit card bill with a charge for a hotel you never visited. Maybe it was a rumor whispered at a water cooler that turned out to be true. Or maybe it was the realization that the business partner you trusted with your livelihood has been siphoning funds for years. In that second, your reality shatters. The room spins. Your stomach drops, a physical sensation of nausea so violent it feels like you have been punched in the gut. The air leaves your lungs. And then comes the thought, the humiliating, burning thought, I was a fool. I was stupid. I let them in. I trusted them, and they were laughing at me the whole time. Betrayal is perhaps the most visceral pain a human being can experience. It is not just loss, it is theft. It is the theft of your history. Because when you discover a betrayal, you don't just lose your future with that person, you lose your past. You look back at the memories, the holidays, the dinners, the laughter, and you ask yourself the terrifying question, was any of it real? Or was I just a character in a play I didn't know I was acting in? If you are standing in the wreckage of a relationship right now, holding the jagged pieces of your trust, feeling the heat of anger and the cold of despair, I want you to stop. Breathe. You are not a fool. You are not broken. You are undergoing a violent but necessary initiation. Before we walk through this fire together, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. We are building a sanctuary here, a place for those who have been broken by the world and are ready to be remade by the truth. If you want to understand the architecture of your own soul, join us. You do not have to walk through this rubble alone. Now let us look at this knife in your back. Let us look at the meaning of betrayal. We must begin by dissecting the nature of the contract. In the West, particularly in America, we view relationships as transactions. We view them as contracts. I sign on the dotted line, you sign on the dotted line. I promise to be faithful, honest, and supportive, and you promise the same. We trade security for security. We trade love for love. We build our lives on these agreements. We buy houses. We have children. We merge bank accounts, all based on the premise that the person across the table is a static, unchanging entity who will abide by the rules forever. But here is the uncomfortable truth. The universe does not deal in contracts. The universe deals in flux. It deals in change. Life is fluid like water, and human beings are not statues, they are rivers. The person you married 10 years ago is not the person sleeping next to you tonight. Their cells have changed. Their mind has changed. Their desires have changed. And yet, we try to lock them in a box of our own expectations. We fall in love not with the person, but with our idea of the person. When you feel betrayed, what has actually been broken, is it the person? No, the person is just doing what they are doing. What has been broken is your image of them. You painted a picture of a saint, a loyal partner, a ride-or-die friend. You fell in love with the painting, and then the real person punched a hole through the canvas. The pain you feel is the death of an illusion. And while the death of an illusion hurts, it is always ultimately a liberation. You see, we set ourselves up for betrayal by demanding certainty in an uncertain world. We demand that another human being who is just as confused, frightened, and flawed as we are be our God. We put the weight of our entire happiness on their shoulders. We say, "You are responsible for my safety. You are responsible for my self-worth. If you love me, I am valuable. If you leave me, I am trash." This is a tremendous burden to place on another soul, and often under that weight they crack. They seek an escape. They seek a secret life where they don't have to carry your happiness on their back. This does not excuse their behavior. The cruelty of lying is real, but we must understand the mechanics if we are to heal the wound. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about the Judas role. In the Christian mythos, Judas is the villain. He is the betrayer. He sells Christ for 30 pieces of silver. We hate Judas. We see him as the ultimate example of evil. But consider this from a philosophical perspective. Without Judas, there is no crucifixion. Without the crucifixion, there is no resurrection. Without the resurrection, there is no salvation story. Judas was the catalyst. He was the necessary agent of transformation. In your life, the person who betrayed you is playing the role of Judas. They are the villain in your movie, yes, but they are also the awakener. Before this betrayal, you were asleep. You were comfortable. You were perhaps dependent. You were living in a small, safe world where you thought you understood the rules. The betrayal shattered that world. It burned down the house. And now you are standing outside in the cold. It is terrifying. But look up. For the first time in years, you can see the stars. The roof is gone, but so is the ceiling. Betrayal forces you into independence. It forces you to reclaim your sovereignty. When you trust someone completely to hold you up, your own legs get weak. You lean on them. You forget how to stand. Then they step away. They drop you. And you fall on your face. It hurts. You bleed. But then something miraculous happens. You stand up. You realize that the ground is still there. You realize that you are still there. You realize that your survival does not depend on their loyalty. You learn that the only person who will never leave you, the only person who will walk with you from the cradle to the grave is you. This is the gift of the traitor. They force you to marry yourself. They force you to find a source of security that is not external, not based on a marriage certificate or a business partnership, but internal. They force you to find the unshakable center within yourself. Now I know what you are thinking. You are thinking about fairness. The American mind is obsessed with fairness. It's not fair, you say. I was good. I was loyal. I sacrificed. Why do they get to be happy with someone else while I am here suffering? You are torturing yourself with the scales of justice. You want the universe to balance the books. You want them to suffer as you are suffering. This desire for revenge, this obsession with what they deserve, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You are holding a hot coal in your hand, waiting to throw it at them, but you are the one getting burned. The universe is not fair in the way a courtroom is fair. The universe is karma, and karma is not punishment, it is consequence. The person who betrays the person who lies is living in a hell of their own making. They are living in a fractured reality. They have to keep track of their lies. They have to run from their own conscience. They have to live with the knowledge that they are capable of harming those who love them. That is a heavy chain to wear. You do not need to punish them. Their own psychology is their punishment. Your job is not to balance the scales. Your job is to clear the wreckage from your own heart so you can live again. And this brings us to the hardest word in the human language: forgiveness. When I say forgiveness, I see you stiffen. You think forgiveness means saying, "It's okay." You think it means letting them back in. You think it means being a doormat. No, that is not forgiveness. That is foolishness. Forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. Forgiveness is a solitary act. It is a surgery you perform on your own soul. Forgiveness means giving up the hope that the past could have been any different. Read that again in your mind, giving up the hope that the past could have been any different. It happened. The glass is broken. The money is gone. The affair happened. You can spend the next 10 years screaming at the broken glass, trying to glue it back together with your tears, trying to rewind the film. Or you can sweep it up. Forgiveness is simply the act of putting down the heavy suitcase. You have been carrying this suitcase of resentment, of he said, she said, of how could they, for months. Your shoulders are aching. Your hands are cramping. Forgiveness is just opening your hands. You don't have to like the person. You don't have to speak to them ever again. You just have to stop carrying them. As long as you hate them, you are tied to them. Anger is a bond just as strong as love. Hate is just love turned inside out. To be truly free, you must become indifferent. You must look at their actions not as a personal attack on you, but as a weather event. A hurricane destroys your house. Do you hate the hurricane? Do you take it personally? Do you think the wind blew specifically to hurt you? No. You understand that the hurricane was just acting according to its nature. It was blind force. The person who betrayed you was acting according to their nature, their confusion, their lust, their greed, their unhealed trauma. They were a hurricane. Don't hate the hurricane. Just rebuild the house, and maybe build it further inland next time. This brings us to the concept of trust. After a betrayal, you will say, I can never trust anyone again. You build a fortress around your heart. You check phones. You demand passwords. You become a detective in your own life. This is no way to live. This is a prison. The problem is your definition of trust. You think trust means, I trust that you will never hurt me. I trust that you will never lie. That is a child's definition of trust. That is trusting in a fantasy. You cannot guarantee that another human being will not hurt you. You cannot control their will. Mature trust. Spiritual trust is different. It means I trust that no matter what you do, I will be okay. I trust my own resilience. I trust my own ability to handle pain. I trust my own capacity to heal. Imagine a bird sitting on a branch. The bird is not afraid that the branch will break. Why does it trust the branch? No. The branch is wood. It could rot. It could snap in the wind. The bird is not afraid because it trusts its own wings. If the branch breaks, the bird will fly. You have spent years placing your trust in the branch, in the partner, the job, the friend. And the branch broke. And you fell. Now life is teaching you to trust your wings. You are stronger than you know. You have survived 100% of your bad days. You are surviving this one. The betrayal did not kill you. It stripped you. And there is a difference. When you are stripped of your illusions, you are naked, but you are real. There is a Japanese art form called kintsugi. When a precious ceramic bowl breaks, the master craftsman does not throw it away. He does not try to hide the cracks. Instead, he repairs the cracks with liquid gold. The bowl becomes whole again, but now it has veins of gold running through it. It is considered more beautiful, more valuable than the bowl that was never broken. Because it has a history. Because it has survived. You are that bowl. The betrayal is the hammer that shattered you. But your healing is the gold. A person who has never been betrayed, who has never had their heart broken, is innocent, yes. But they are also shallow. They do not know the depths of the human experience. You now know the depths. You have touched the bottom. And because you have touched the bottom, you can reach for the heights. You will find as time passes that this betrayal gives you a strange kind of superpower. You become harder to fool. You develop a radar for truth. You stop tolerating nonsense. You stop engaging in superficial relationships because you know the cost of the real thing. You begin to value loyalty not as a word, but as a rare and precious action. And when you do love again, and you will love again, you will love with eyes wide open. You will love not as a needy child looking for a parent, but as a sovereign adult looking for a partner. You will say, "I choose you," not because I need you to survive, but because I enjoy your company on this journey. That is a much higher form of love. That is a love that cannot be betrayed because it is not based on possession. In the end, my friend, do not let this experience turn your heart into a stone. The world has enough cold people. The world has enough cynics. The bravest thing you can do in America in this modern world of disposable relationships is to keep your heart open after it has been smashed. To say, "I was hurt, but I will not close off. I will grieve, but I will not hate." That is the victory. If they made you bitter, they won. If they made you cold, they won. But if you take this pain and use it to become deeper, wiser, and more compassionate toward the suffering of others, then you have won. You have turned the lead of betrayal into the gold of wisdom. This is the alchemy of the soul. So look at the wreckage one last time. Cry your tears. Scream into a pillow. Do what you must.